I tell people up front, listen, there is an inverse relationship between security and convenience. When something is more secure, it's going to be less convenient. And they're like, okay, I get it. But I just keep getting on that point. I'm like, look, when you go to a store and you buy a bunch of groceries and now you bring it home, wouldn't it be awesome? Wouldn't it be just amazing if you just take it out of the car and just bring them in and just like walk into the house? No opening doors, no unlocking the doors. There's no door. You just like walk in. How easy and simple would that be?
Hello, my fellow humans, and welcome to the Multiverse Podcast. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Roman, founder and president of the Computer Guy LLC, a cybersecurity-focused IT company. Roman, welcome to the podcast today.
Justin, thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Good to have you on. I'm excited for this conversation we're going to have.
Me too.
So if you could kind of let the audience know a little bit about yourself, your journey you've been on, and how you ended up in IT and what made you do it kind of, I guess, different than everyone else is doing it.
Sure. It's a loaded question. Let's see. So I'm originally from former Soviet Union. My family and I came to the United States back in 95. I live in Metro Detroit, and I was 13 at the time. My parents are engineers. So when we came here, they wanted to continue doing work professionally in their own fields. And we didn't have computers. Again, I'm taking you back to 95. In Russia, we didn't have computers, and computers were pretty expensive. So here you have a family who pretty much left everything behind, coming here, starting fresh. They were guided to. They're like, listen, you guys need to learn how to learn. You need to learn how to use a computer if you want to continue working in your own field. I am super excited about it. I'm like, great. I always wanted to have a computer. So I started playing with it. There are some games and I'm like running out of space on the computer. I don't remember what the capacity of the drive was. Anyway, so it's Windows 3.11. I'm starting going in there and like cleaning things out. Next thing, CD-ROM stops working. Essentially, my strategy was like, if it didn't have an executable in the folder, I would just delete the files. I was like, who needs this DLL? So next thing you know, my parents are starting to use the computer and it's not working. And then they would have to call my uncle, who was a programmer. So he started to come in and fixing it. And he's like, Roman, did you delete these files? And I'm like, no, I don't know what happened. Anyways, so that happened a few times, and my parents are like, listen, we got to do something with this kid. And they had some connections with a gentleman that was working at a local computer store. And at the age of 13, they kind of like negotiated, or not negotiated, but they kind of put me under his wing to start teaching me how to use and how to build computers, how to work on computers. And that's kind of how I started. So that was 13, and I just was very passionate about computers. Fast forward, when I graduated from high school, I had this amazing opportunity to work at a pretty large law firm in the IT department there. I was there for 4 years. During that time, I got my Network Plus certification, I got my CCNA, and I was there for 4 years. At the end of the 4 years, I left. And at the ripe age of 22, I decided that corporate America is not for me, and I'm gonna open up my own company. The go-to-market strategy, again, I'm 22, I'm still living with my parents. It's not a big risk. So if I fail miserably, it's fine. I'll just get up and whatever, go figure it out. So the go-to-market strategy was that like, hey, I can go to people's homes and I can fix computers for them. I'll do it, it'll take me a couple hours at most. They'll pay me, and then I'll leave. And this is 2005. Yeah, this is early 2005. Basically, back then, I mean, laptops were starting to become more popular, but majority of the people are still using desktops, and they're big desktops, and they're under the desk. So if the computer breaks, what does a person have to do? Well, they have to get under the desk, unplug it. Most likely they're not seeing what they're unplugging. Then they take the computer to a local computer shop, leave it there for a week or two. Who knows with whom? Who knows who's looking at your stuff, right? So the computer is just chilling there for a week or two. Then they have to bring the computer back, hopefully don't break it during the traveling from the computer store to back home. And now they have to hook it up. So get under the desk. Anyways, you see where I'm going with that. It's like very challenging, very annoying. And here's Roman is like, yo, I'll come to your house. I'll fix your computer. It'll take me 1 to 2 hours and you're good. You'll pay me. And that was the go-to-market strategy.
Move over Geek Squad.
Pretty much. I was more efficient than Geek Squad and less expensive. So it like really aligned. And now I got to come up with a name. So what name am I going to use? So I was thinking, I'm like, I just want to make it easy for people, right? Because like my whole strategy was like, just make it easy for folks. I'll go to their home. What do I do to make it easy for them to remember? I don't know. How about the computer guy? Like just easy, right? So, I'm going to call the computer guy. That's Roman. So just fast forward, I'll go to somebody's home, fix their computer, and they're like, hey, I have a small company, 2, 3, 4 computers, and nobody's looking after them. Can you come to my office and fix a couple of issues we're having? We can't print or we can't share documents or whatever that may be. And little by little, I started getting small businesses, and I really liked working for small businesses because the need was different. Like having a computer at home is good, but it's not mission critical. Having a computer at your business, if that thing goes down, you need it to be repaired right away. So that really aligned with kind of where I saw my company going. So fast forward to, I don't know, let's say 2015, I hire my first part-time technician, and fast forward to 2019, I hire my first 2 full-time technicians, and now we're a small company of 15 people. It's, we're still tiny, but going from 1 to 15 in an exponential kind of a manner is really interesting.
Damn, thank you for sharing that story. It kind of reminds me of my childhood and growing up with computers. I remember those laptops were as heavy as a regular computer. You could barely move them around. You drop them, it's all over.
For sure.
I think it's funny that you're going in there, deleting DLL files. Like, what were you trying to accomplish? Were you trying to piss off your parents? Were you trying to see what it did?
No, we were running out of space. So I would be loading games, and they loaded their stuff. They like had AutoCAD and Microsoft Office, and I'm like, just running out of storage and not enough room for my games.
Come on, Mom.
So I was just trying to be creative, and I'm like, okay, so what are these files here? Like, we don't know what it's for. I deleted it. CD-ROM stopped working. Back in the day, we needed drivers we needed to install separate drivers for various devices.
Man, I remember those days. They were rough. Some of those drivers didn't work correctly, and you really had to MacGyver and figure those things out. It wasn't easy back in the early 90s at all. You have to actually know what you were doing for the most part. But most people didn't.
Yes.
Now it's so easy now. Windows is like, here you go, do it for you.
Yeah. Windows have definitely came a long way.
Windows 3.1, 3.11. You ever play with OS2 Warp? Do you remember that?
No.
I had an IBM Aptiva. I think it had Windows 3.11 and OS2 Warp. It was a secondary operating system. It was kind of like Linux and Mac OS a little bit. It was different. I guess IBM was trying to play with it and figure out what would sell. I'm not sure the marketing behind it, but they had some cool games on there. They're really fun.
Nice. No, I remember I came in at Windows 3.1, then it was 3.11, then there was 95, 98, NT, right? No, not NT, sorry, ME, and then there was the NT, right? The new technology that was really for businesses. And then in 2000, they kind of brought consumer and businesses together. Yeah. So the Windows 2000 was based on the NT infrastructure, and then
Man, it's gotten so much better since NT. I remember those NT days. You literally had to
Yes,
have your MCSE to know what the hell you were doing with it. It
for
was
sure,
that
for sure.
complicated. And now look where we
IT
are.
professionals today don't know don't know the struggle that we went through.
They don't. And now we are going to be in that position when the newer IT people have AI was doing everything, the AI computer doing everything and fixing it. We're like, well, back in my day, we had to go in there and figure out what was wrong with it. We didn't have AI to ask, you know?
Yeah,
It's
yeah, for
crazy,
sure, for
man.
sure.
I feel forever changing our landscape. I want to know more about your business. Are you guys an MSP or are you just like an IT firm? Or have you guys made that switch yet? Because I know a lot of people have switched from reactive to proactive, and some people kind of in between still.
So yeah, we've always had the proactive mindset. Once we started working with businesses, and because it was just me, and I did not want to be the guy to be running around all over town putting out fires. It's just not good for business. One client is calling me, they're having an emergency, and another client is calling me, and they're having an emergency, and how do I triage it? So being proactive and implementing some other strategies really was a game changer. And I myself, I'm coming from infrastructure. I, as I mentioned, my uncle, who played a big influence in my life as it relates to uh, computers. He's a programmer. He's a phenomenal notch programmer, and he tried to teach me programming when I was, I don't know, 15, 16, and I realized that programming is just not my thing. Nothing against people that like coding. I think it's phenomenal skill. I wish I was more into it, but it just was not something that really
Same.
spoke to me and really moved me. But I really enjoyed networking, interconnections of different systems and how to access things remotely. So I was really into infrastructure. So over time, we kind of got into the cybersecurity just naturally. And today what I'm seeing is that the industry is kind of shifting, not shifting, but maybe like breaking, where a lot of guys that just want to work on computers and just want to fix computers and fix networks. They're like, I just want to do that. I don't want to be doing the whole cybersecurity thing, because cybersecurity is just, it's becoming very, very administrative, compliance,
GRC is a hell of a
policies.
drug.
Exactly, exactly. What would we do without those tools, right? And I understand, I was very much hands-on and a techie and a geek and a nerd and whatever you call
Yeah.
it. But then cybersecurity was a lot of fun. And then today, 80% of cybersecurity is just putting in policies together, and which is very, very important, right? Because you need to put the
Yeah.
policies in place, and then you'll take technology and apply technology to mimic those policies. But so as far as who we are as an organization, we are a cybersecurity first mindset managed service provider. So we'll handle our clients' IT, from day to day, but we will for sure also handle their cybersecurity needs as well. And we're moving more and more in that direction.
Yeah, we really need that more because, like you were saying, there are a lot of people out there. They're still just straight IT and that's it. They don't want to make that switch. They don't want to do that training. They just like being the technician. But if you're working in like the world of like law firms, healthcare, you have to make that switch. You have to do your due diligence and be better as an IT provider. Even a lot of the regulations are coming down on them now more, to making them do more, do better.
100%, 100%. Although I'm sure you've seen that. But just because an organization should be following a compliance framework doesn't necessarily always mean that the leadership of said organization
That's a
finds
big
it
problem.
important. So it's some of the challenges that we're running in.
I like how you said the leadership because I find within this industry, one of the key components, one thing you talk about is mindset because the human aspect of cybersecurity or in anything is understanding how to talk to those people correctly and not get too technical, but training them to understand what needs to be done as a community. Okay, it takes a team to do this. And those conversations with leadership can be really tough sometimes. They have really old school reactive mindsets. How has that been for you with your clients and other people trying to help them understand that landscape?
Challenging 100% because I'll come to them and it's a growing it's part of growing and maturing and professional development. I'm speaking for me. Initially, I was like, my God, you have ports open and we have to do this, and somebody from Russia or China, they can just come in, just like go all tech on them. And I had to learn how to not put them to sleep. Like not like I would legit be talking to somebody and they're standing and then they're like just falling asleep as I'm talking to them. So I had to learn how to exactly just like that. Just like that. So I
So
had to
fascinating.
learn. I'm sorry, am I doing that to you?
I used to do that to my leaders all the time. I didn't get I was doing it. I didn't understand.
Yeah.
Like, why the hell are you listening to me? We have to do this. I didn't understand that was in
Yeah.
the right way. I didn't know I didn't. Hey, my fellow humans, sorry to interrupt your video, but if you're looking for more ways to protect and empower your healthcare practice, we would love to help. At ITCMD, our mission is to simplify IT, boost security, and support your compliance journey with a human touch so you can focus on caring for your patients. Want to see how easy IT and cybersecurity can be? Schedule a free consult or check out our resources at iteecmd.net. Let's build a safer, stronger future together. Okay, bye.
But what I found, and by trial and error and some guidance from my mentors, is that you got to talk to them in business terms. You gotta take the technology issue that you've identified, and you gotta talk in terms of business impact.
Yeah.
While you have ports that are opened, that means that somebody from another country can connect and they can shut you down, and you will be down for a week. And what is that going to cost you to be shut down for a week?
Ooh,
So talking about business impact
I
really
love
helps.
that. Because as a managed service provider, you're basically a strategic business partner. But a lot of
100%.
IT companies haven't learned that pivot that to talk business. They only know the technology. So I like how you bring that up, and you guys are doing a good job of that, being their
We're, we're,
partner.
we're trying, and it's hard to talk business. It's just challenging. I don't have an MBA. I mean, I have an undergrad,
Like, who are you?
but exactly. However, something that helped me was my journey as a business owner. So as I was able to grow my company and I was learning things and talking to folks, I was able to pick up various terminology that made sense that I was able to utilize to communicate to my clients. I'm not always successful, and it's a continuous learning kind of a function. But at the end of the day, when I'm talking to somebody who's not technical, I have to be talking in a way that they can understand. And if I'm talking to leadership, if I'm talking to the board, I have to be talking in terms of business impact.
I love that. If you help them understand what the risk is for their business, they're gonna be like, "Wait, what? No, okay, let's do it." You
Yeah,
really have to change the conversation.
for sure. And sometimes it's not just one risk. Sometimes, as you know, right? Sometimes there's like 10 different things that we have to do. And they're the leadership. I'm, like you pointed out, I'm their strategic business partner. They're the leadership, it's their company. So my job is to bring it up to them, make them aware of the issue and of the impact, answer their questions, and empower them to prioritize which issues should we be addressing first, and then go and address them.
I love that. I actually just experienced that myself. Before I tell
Tell
the
me.
story, let me ask you this. Do you feel at any point when a company just has IT that they should bring on an outside third party to help them navigate these waters of cybersecurity? Or is it something that they can just do on their own with just an IT guy?
So let me just make sure that I understood your question correctly.
Yes,
You're bringing up a case where there is an organization, and this organization they have an internal IT, and
kind
the
of.
question,
Yeah.
the,
Maybe
que-
they
the
have an
question,
IT guy. Maybe it's someone just doing IT for them. they think they know what
I
they're
see.
doing, possibly.
1000%. What I recommend, what I think would be strategic if I was in the leadership position of that company, is I would want to bring in a third party to do an assessment. Because if I'm a C-suite, if I'm leadership, CFO, CEO, whatever that may be, I have no idea how to ensure that the IT person is what they're doing. I don't know how to keep them accountable. I don't know what they're doing. So I need a third party to come in and audit the work that they're performing.
But they're fixing the computers. They're there when I need them. Everything's fine, right?
That's what they say, which is fine, which is fine. But again, going back to the business impact kind of a conversation, probably depending on how big the organization is, but I probably bring in a third party to do financial audits. I probably bring in third party to do um, controls, accounting controls, financial controls, whatever that may be. I have an amazing accounting department. I have an amazing CFO, but we need a third party to validate that what we're doing is accurate. So same thing with IT. I think it's very strategic to bring in a third party to do a security assessment, to evaluate the system the way a hacker would evaluate the system, to find the gaps before somebody else does, and to be proactive about it. Those. What do you think?
I think that is pretty damn accurate, and it should be that way. But usually, a lot of leaders don't have the mindset or capacity to understand what needs to be done. They've been doing things the same way all the time until some kind of breach happens, or they think they've been compromised. They don't really do anything until that happens. It's kind of unfortunate. Reactive, unfortunate. I've seen it a lot, and it's very common. They're just not bringing the conversation to the table to be more strategic with protecting, because like, you're the leader of that company. You have a company to protect, people, payroll. I feel, wouldn't you want to protect that with the technology too? It's like, some people don't understand necessarily how far we've come with the technology and all the threats are out there until we tell them. Then they get freaked out. It's like, oh my God,
Right.
what do I do? There's all this
Right.
fear that's been built up.
Yeah, and everybody, they hear about companies getting hacked left and right, right? Like you can't hide from that. It's all over the news. It's all over
NDP
the place
constantly.
saying, "Yep, we've been breached, whatever." So it's happening all over the place, but still, it's like people are becoming kind of, what's the word that I'm thinking? They're desensitized to it.
Yeah, they really
Yeah,
are.
and so sometimes there is this impression where, Roman, listen, look, this has never happened to me in 20 years. Like, you're just scaring me. And they're not really saying that to me, but I feel like that's how they're
Yeah,
feeling.
I feel that.
And so what I realize is that there are two types of clients. Clients that have been hacked and clients that will get hacked. Because unfortunately, and it makes me feel so bad and gives me like goosebumps,
It's
it's not a
true.
matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah.
So clients that have been hacked that find us and now we're starting to work with them, they're like, Roman, here's the money, like, just whatever you need, like, just make this go away, make sure this never happens. And like the purse strings, like money comes from all over the place. And then the clients that have not experienced it, let's say we've been doing a good job and we've been keeping them protected and they've never experienced it, and I'm like, yo, we got to do this and we got to do that and we got to keep, things are changing. And they're like, we
No,
just
you're
can't
doing a
afford
good
it.
job. Why
We
do we
can't
need
afford
more?
it. Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of how it is.
Yeah.
Navigating those waters are challenging because sometimes I feel like I'm caring about my clients' businesses more than they care about their
Same.
businesses,
Like,
right? And I don't like it. It's not the right position to be in. Really, my position is just bring things up to them, to be exactly how you put it, to be their strategic partner, identify gaps, come up with plans to remediate those gaps, but have them give me the go ahead, have them provide the finances that are needed to make them whole. And I would say the most challenging, and I'll stop talking here in
yeah,
a
no
second. The
worries.
most challenging No, the most challenging part about it is that if they don't listen, if they don't take on the professional guidance that I'm giving them, and something does happen, we're their IT company, right? We were essentially getting affected by it as well. I
A
look at it
lose-lose
as
situation.
exactly. So we've had to offboard some clients who were just a big risk to us as an organization, and I'm focusing only on organizations where cybersecurity is important to them. It's part of my discovery. Like, I want to really understand how important it is to them, and if it's not important, I'm just not I'm just like not climbing that mountain.
That
So
may
yeah.
push you at risk.
Sure.
I know, like, my experience with this too is just like trying to help people understand that this should be part of the business conversation. Like, I guess back in the day, it wasn't a thing. So when people got their MBAs, they weren't teaching you some technology is important for your business also, not just how much money you make. But let alone now, cybersecurity is putting those businesses at risk by taking money out of their pockets either way. Too much to protect or too little to protect when something happens. And it's just kind of either way, you're going to be paying too much out of pocket if you don't be proactive.
Yes, 100%. And going back to the previous thing that we talked about, there are organizations that have to align themselves to a certain compliance framework, and the
Supposed to.
compliance supposed to, and the compliance framework lays out exactly what they need to do, or they get fined, or maybe even a fine big enough that would be an existential kind of a fine where they have to close the doors, which is not ideal. I don't want to be losing clients at all, but yeah. Anyway,
I know it's my goal to protect and educate as best I can to my ability and to their ability to listen and take action as well, because we both have a responsibility, like you're saying earlier, not just us to protect them, but them to do the right thing to protect themselves as well. It's a two-way thing. It's not just us coming in, okay, we're IT, you're protected. It doesn't work that way. It takes the community.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Shared responsibility. The days where just leave it to IT and the IT will handle it, those days are gone. Those days are gone.
And those
Now
IT
it's
guys don't know what the hell they're doing now either. They're freaking out. Like, I don't know how to do this. I can just fix it. That's it.
yeah, exactly.
It's scary. I actually see some of those. They don't want to make that pivot. They don't want to have the hard conversations with their clients. They don't want to learn regulations or GRC compliance, all that stuff. They just want to do IT. And a lot of these leaders, they have that IT mindset still too. Even though they've got like 3 or 4 breaches, they still don't understand why they need more than IT. I've experienced that with so many companies. Why? Why do I need this? I don't. I'm just paying money for nothing. And it's crazy. It's the mindset that they're in. How's your experience been to help guide that mindset with people? Like, I know you saying earlier, it's really tough to have those conversations. And that's kind of like, I know I'm on that mission to kind of have these here online to better equip people to understand what needs to be done to have a different mindset shift to think cyber as a priority. How have those conversations and that route been for you with your client? So it's gotta be tough.
It's very tough. That's kind of why I mentioned when we have somebody reaching out to us, trying to see if we can take over the IT for them. I want to make sure that we're dealing with people that are aware of how important cybersecurity
Take
is.
over what
However,
exactly?
exactly. But ideally, the process is like this: we will bring a third party to do a security assessment, because we want to make sure that what we are doing, like, we want to make sure that we're not everybody's human. Humans make mistakes. Maybe there are new threats that are coming out that we don't know about. So we bring in a third party to do a security assessment to identify the gaps, so that then we can go and remediate them. So we'll do a security assessment, and we'll review it with them. That's one of the things that we do. The other things that we do is we'll talk to them how important it is to align. Like, I if they're in the healthcare, they have to be HIPAA compliant. There's no ifs, buts, or like they have to. If they're an accounting firm, they have to be FTC safeguards compliant. Like it's a must. It's a must. So I just have to show to them that how they may not be compliant and have a conversation with them and just start aligning them to that framework. If they are a medical practice where they refuse to be HIPAA compliant, and by refuse I mean like this. They're like, Roman, what you're saying is too much. We don't need to do all of that. I'm like, how do you know? How do you know? Here's HIPAA telling you exactly what you need to do. How's it that you know? And if they refuse, then we have to offboard them, transition them to another IT company. But if they're open and they may not know, which is totally fine. And this is like, I'll come in and I'll share that with them, and they're like, all right, let's start aligning, let's start doing the assessment, let's figuring things out. And if they're open to that, then I guide them every step of the way.
It's a hard process. That's a lot to it. That's why a lot of them kind of like, oh, we don't need to do all that. There's a lot to it at first, you know, because I know I've experienced with companies where they get risk assessments, but they don't understand there's a huge difference between a $1,500 risk assessment and the $15,000 risk assessment. They don't get this. Oh, we did the $1,500 one. We're fine. We did it once, but they don't understand that 1,500 didn't cover all the compliance regulations, things that they covered. That just touched the surface. That maybe did like maybe a port scan on the website or something, but nothing with policy or anything that needed to be done. And it's very hard trying to help people understand that sometimes. Have you had any experience with that, with the cyber risk assessments?
For sure, for sure. And when we are taking them through let's say a compliance assessment, what people are starting to realize is that at least 75 to 80% of compliance are policies and documentation. When an auditor comes in, they're not like, hey, show me your firewall rules.
Let me
No,
hack
they're like,
into you real quick.
show me the policy that talks about where people are allowed to go and where they're not allowed to go. And then what is your control to keep this policy in check? And then they'll pick and choose, be like, okay, fine, let me see this specific thing. But majority of it is documentation. And a lot of people have a practice of doing something, but they don't have a documented process of doing something.
So true.
You see what I'm saying? So we identify those gaps and we start remediating. I mean, it takes a lot of time to just go through that, and through all the questionnaires and through all of the controls, and just to find out where they're at, and then we start remediating based on the priority. It
Now, when
takes a
you do
while.
the remediation part, I'm sure that that's gotta be frustrating for organizations because they have to kind of start doing things differently or adhering to these policies and kind of changing the dynamic of their everyday work, how they log in, how they document, all of that. It's gotta be frustrating. Like, what do you mean we gotta change all this now? This is how we've always done it.
Nobody has ever reached out to me and said, wow, Roman, thank you so much for turning on multi-factor authentication for us. They'll reach out and they'll say, thank you for fixing this issue and whatever else. But like nobody called, like, thank you for making things harder.
Right. Thank you for taking this cyber risk assessment and implementing all this stuff to protect my company. And I have to authenticate on my phone every time I log in. I appreciate you. Thank
Right.
you so much.
Exactly. And so that's why I think it's a leadership conversation, because and it's gotta go from the top down. If leadership is not into it, if they're not bought in, it's like nothing is gonna happen. And we have a lot of people that reach out and they're like middle level managers. They're like, Roman, we're super concerned about X, Y, and Z. Can you help us out? I said, yes. What does your CFO thinks about it? What does your CEO? They're like, oh yeah, they're also bought in. Great. Let's have a conversation with them. And then we're having like a challenging time getting them on the phone, setting a meeting. Meetings are set, they don't show up. They're not bought in. I know what it's like to be bought in
Hmm.
or dealing with people that are bought in. So it has to start at the top, and because they're the ones that are holding their team accountable. The team, their team, they're not looking for more things to do, or things being harder. It has to start from the very top. Now, when we do start it from the very top, I tell people up front, listen, there is an inverse relationship between security and convenience. When something is more secure, it's going to be less convenient. And they're like, okay, I get it. But I just keep hitting on that point. I'm like, look, when you go to a store and you buy a bunch of groceries and now you bring it home, wouldn't it be awesome? Wouldn't it be just amazing if you just take it out of the car and just bring them in and just like walk into the house? No opening doors, no unlocking the doors, no, not like the door. There is no door. You just like walk in. What is that? Like, how easy and simple would that be? Yeah. You just drive into your garage and you walk into the house and you're just carrying stuff. But no, that's not the reality of the situation. You have to open the garage, you have to open the door, you have to like, and why? Why? Well, because of the security, because you don't want people to be just walking into your house. But the more things are secure, the less convenient it is. When you walk into the house, you may probably have to turn off the alarm. You have 60 seconds to do that. If you don't do that, you have,
Hell breaks
you have
loose.
exactly. That's an extra thing that you have to do. You imagine going from an environment where you had no doors, where you had no alarm, you just walk in, and now you have doors and you have an alarm and you have locks. So that's exactly what we're going to do for your company. You you have doors in your organization in your office, but your windows are all open. So we're going to close the windows. We're going to make sure that bad guys can't come in, and the good guys, your employees, they are protected in case they click on something or whatever that may be. So we're going to add additional levels and layers of security. It's going to make things less convenient for them. It will take a little bit of time for them to get used to the new process and the new way of doing things. And the reason why we're doing it is to make sure that your nest egg, your livelihood, your business is protected, and you don't experience an outage.
That is so accurate. We become a society of such convenience that along comes cybersecurity and makes things inconvenient for us. But in reality, we're making them more convenient in the way of if you have something that happens or a breach or a security incident, that's going to take more paperwork, more money, more cost, more time away for the company. We're trying to prevent that and trying to reframe and have them see that can be very hard.
Um, but that's the reality of the situation. I can tell you that it's very sad to see business owners go through an outage that was caused by a security incident, and it adds a lot of stress. Sometimes they can't sleep. Sometimes I've even seen business owners cry. I mean, it's a legit situation, and people that have gone through that, they come out different. They come out
Incidents
different.
response is no joke. It
Yeah,
stresses me out.
for sure, for sure. So yeah, I mean, but that's the reality of the situation. That's the world that we live in, and it's just gonna continue to get more secure.
Now you're scaring me, man. I'm freaking out.
But yeah, well, check this out. I mean, like back in the day, up until maybe 2 years from now, this was the stuff that we're talking about. But today we have AI, right? AI, they can do AI
Ooh,
clones. My voice can be cloned. My persona can be cloned.
wait a second. You're
Well,
real.
people thinking that they're dealing with me, but they're dealing with somebody else. And what's the impact? You see, I'm taking it back to the business impact. What's the impact to the business? Well, an accounting person could be receiving a call from their CFO, and they're thinking they're talking to the CFO. They're thinking they're talking to the business owner, and and the business owner is asking them to send money to some location, and they sounds like them, but it's just not them. So I can see that at some point in the near future, there's going to be some sort of a certificate of some sort that's going to be tied to us as individuals to verify our identity, that we are humans as opposed to an
Please
AI
plug
clone.
into here. Please write this sentence. Now stand on 2 toes and turn around.
Right.
All these little things you have to do.
Yes. Or like blink twice, or give me the security handshake.
Right? Like, it's crazy. No, I was talking some about the AI stuff now with cybersecurity, and that's becoming a real issue, because making all the stuff that we've been protecting against before that was challenging, making it 20 times more challenging now. They can look like and sound like real people. Like, what are some tips and things that some companies can do to help protect themselves from some of these things, especially with AI?
So you want to start you want to start by putting the right people in the right seats. So what I mean by that is critical thinking is key. You like I tell my folks, I tell my people, you will never get a call, an email, or anything from me asking you to send money to some other department, some other bank. Like, just so you know, if you ever do, it's not me. Having training, I guess, is very important. Ensuring that people have critical thinking, like, well, Roman asked me to send $2,000 to this one account. I guess I
Okay.
guess I'm gonna go do that. No, 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 no. Critical thinking, but really verify, right? Multi-factor authentication. It's not just a technology kind of a thing. It's a human kind of a thing. Meet me in person. If I'm asking for a crazy kind of a request, call me. Meet me in person. Making just verify that it's me. So that's. I mean, I feel like it's not ideal at the moment, but as I was reflecting on that, that's where the thought of us as humans having some sort of a security certificate that will
Yeah.
that we can present
Trust
to
but verify.
always. I would even say forget trust, verify,
Verify, verify,
verify,
verify.
verify, and then trust. Exactly.
I like that better.
Zero trust. Zero trust.
I see what you did there. Some companies I know, they actually have multiple steps. Like, call me, let's meet at this place. Or like you said, I'll never ask you to transfer $25 million into an account. What is wrong with you? Why would you think I would do that? People are so busy. It's like they click on phishing email. They're so busy. They're not paying attention. And they're hoping you kind of do that. You're messed up. But like you said, they have the training, so that mess up becomes less likely and less likely, no matter how busy you are. Like us, remember, we see things, we're busy all the time. And I see emails come to my way, that doesn't look right. Now there's a way to go back to it later. I'm like, okay, that is totally wrong. But we're so used to it, we're so trained.
100%, 100%. And I was just reading an article where um a certain cybersecurity, like a high level cybersecurity professional, was advocating for the fact, or was trying to build a case where phishing training is actually counterproductive. We're essentially desensitizing people.
Guys, I feel that.
So it's like, so what do we do? Do we do phishing training? Do we not do phishing training? And things are changing, right? So a year ago it may have been very valuable, but today it may not be. And so just staying on top of those things, I think, is very, very important. But to your point, some crazy number, like 98%, if not 99% of all breaches, incidents, hacks start with an email.
An email or the employee, or that same thing.
Yep.
I was just talking to Craig from Cyberhoot. I'm not sure if you heard of them.
No.
Cyberhoot. So they're doing the whole phishing email thing differently. They're doing phishing simulations with psychology that helps train and teach people what to look for, not just sending them an email and stressing them out, but helping them to trust and verify and train them on what to look for over time. So they are prepared to arm themselves with how to do that. So use human-centric psychology together. It's really nice.
For sure, for sure. I think training is critical. Training for sure is critical because, as I mentioned earlier, days where you can just say as a leadership individual, the days where you say, hey, IT's got it, I don't have to do nothing. Those days are gone. It's a shared responsibility,
Yes.
and we'll do our best. We'll put in technology, but we need you guys, we need you employees to be trained, and it's a shared responsibility. It's a war that we're fighting because, I mean, I guess we can also talk about the fact that the whole cyber criminal landscape has changed, right? Like, it's not so much individuals, it's more nation states and ransomware as a
Dark web now.
service.
You can buy on the
Yeah.
dark web. Give a few Bitcoin. I got a service now. They have better customer service than most IT departments or help desks, which is pretty sad. Really sad
Uh, it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate.
how the tables have turned.
Yeah, but I think what you just talked about, I think it's very, very important. So phishing as a service, ransomware as a service. So what does that really mean? People go on the dark web. Um, I could be an employee working for a company, and I may know a little bit about IT, but not much. But I'm a criminal, or at least that's like
Criminal minds.
that's my mindset. So, and you, as an example, you are this big, um, cyber criminal network of folks, and you're just trying to
I'm
get
just a
into as
cyber
many
broker. Yeah.
exactly, trying to get into as many companies as you can. Now, you're trying to get potentially into the company that I work for. So how does it work? So I go on the dark web, I meet you, I sign up for your ransomware as a service, and you give me the file to go into my computer and run. I go to the computer, I run it, and now the company is locked up. You couldn't get into this company on your own. Hell, you didn't even know that this company existed. And so we partnered up, and we're splitting the money that you would get to ensure that this company gets, like, if they were to pay you to unlock. So that's this as a service, mine as a service business model that that people can find on the dark web and such. So what does that mean? That means that as an organization, we now, as security professional, we have to be protecting our clients' organizations from insider threats. Is that these ransomware as a service, as cybersecurity professionals, we have to protect our clients from insider threats, from these people who are criminals who somehow got a job in that organization, who will go in and run the ransomware file from inside. And we have to keep our clients protected. So it's a whole new level, a whole new dimension of protection that we have to consider.
Multi-dimensional universe. Yeah. I
Exactly.
know it's not easy. It takes a lot of work. It takes a team, to really figure out how to help protect these companies. And I like having these
100%.
conversations. They really help. Hopefully some leader out there is listening and being like, oh, they're right. I resonate with that. I need to protect my company. I really need to do better to protect my people, my legacy, and my business. So if those people say they want to reach out to you and they're like, hey, I want to work with Roman, where can they reach you at? Yeah.
Sure. So people can, they or anybody else could shoot me an email. My email is roman@tcgway.com. TCG is the abbreviation of the Computer Guy. So roman@tcgway.com. Please shoot me an email. I would love to engage and converse. But in addition to that, I created an Instagram channel, and basically I put a bunch of different videos on it. I have a lot of questions that people ask me. Well, Roman, what about this? What about that? And I found myself answering the same question over and over. So I just recorded myself. I put it on Instagram. A bunch of people have access to it, and then if a question comes in, I'll just shoot them a video. Yeah. So, and then Instagram handle is just my first and last name, Roman Golshteyn.
Awesome. I'll definitely put that down in the show notes. I want to thank you so much for coming on here today. It's been a real pleasure having you on here, and I hope we were able to help some other people out there understand the landscape more and help change their lives and their businesses.
Absolutely. Thank you, Justin. I very much appreciate it. Had a great time chatting with you, and yeah, looking forward to more conversations like this.
Hell yeah. I can't wait. I'd love to have you back on here again.
Thank
Oh,
you. Thank you.
thank you. You have a good rest of your day.
Thank you so much. You too.
Bye.
Bye bye.